You ever look back and realize that everything made sense, but only too late? That gut feeling you ignored, the look in her eye you brushed off, the nights you lay awake wondering if it was just you going crazy? My name's Chris, and this story isn't just another cheating wife cliché. It's about trust, love, and the slow poison of betrayal that seeps in when you're not looking. This could have happened to any man. But it happened to me. Or worse, it happened to someone I thought I knew better than anyone. Her name was Emily. We met in college, classic setup, right? She had that bubbly charm, the kind of girl who lit up a room, made you feel like the center of her universe. I fell for it, hard. Everyone did. And for a while, things were good. Really good. We got married 3 years after graduating. I built my career in real estate, worked my ass off to climb the ladder, while she stayed home. Said she wanted to focus on being present, living in the moment. That was fine by me. I was raised old school, provide, protect, be the man of the house. I didn't care that she didn't bring in a paycheck. I just wanted her to be happy. But here's the thing, Emily got used to being taken care of. Shopping sprees turned into daily rituals. Brunches with her girlfriends became her full-time job. Every day was a new hair appointment, new nails, new bags. Our house? Immaculate. Our marriage? From the outside? Picture perfect. But something was off, and deep down, I think I knew it long before I admitted it. It started with the little things. Her phone was always on silent. She'd leave the room to answer calls. When I'd come home early, she'd jump like I startled her. "You're home already?" she'd say, like I'd broken some unwritten schedule. But I brushed it all off. Work stress. Hormones. Don't be that jealous guy, I told myself. She loves you. You're imagining things. Until one night, just a few weeks ago, I got home late from a closing deal, exhausted, hungry, needing a shower and a little comfort. Emily was already asleep, or pretending to be, and I went to grab something from the nightstand on her side of the bed. That's when I saw it. An open condom wrapper. Tucked just inside. Crinkled, careless. Like someone didn't think they'd need to hide it. My heart stopped. I stood there for a full minute, staring at it. We hadn't been intimate in over 2 months. And yet, there it was. That's when everything shifted. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay next to her, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. Wondering what the hell was going on. Wondering how long it had been going on. Wondering who. 2 names kept swirling in my mind: Zach, our neighbor, recently divorced, always way too friendly with her, and Josh, my best friend. My brother in all but blood. And that's where this hell of a ride really began. After I found that condom wrapper, I didn't confront her right away. I needed to be sure. I needed proof. Something solid I couldn't talk myself out of. I was in a kind of emotional freefall. Hurt, yes, but also stunned. You don't just flip the table on a marriage because of one clue, do you? So I watched. Closely. Emily didn't notice at first. She went on with her days like nothing had changed. Same red wine in the evenings, same fake smile when I kissed her goodnight. But I started seeing it all differently. And the more I watched, the more I saw. She'd get these random texts at 11 p.m., smile at her phone, then flip it over without replying, or so it seemed. She started showering twice a day. Started locking the bathroom door. Her clothes got skimpier, even around the house. She acted like she was going out. With the girls. More often, but wouldn't say which girls or where. Then one night, I decided to follow her. She said she was going to a late dinner with Ashley and Claire, 2 friends I knew well. But something didn't sit right. So I waited a few minutes after she left, then grabbed my keys and followed. I didn't even know what I was doing. I felt like a damn private investigator in my own life. She didn't go downtown like she said. She drove to the edge of the city. A bar I'd never been to, one of those places with neon lights and a low-profile crowd. I parked a block away and waited, watching through my windshield like some stranger. And that's when I saw him. Zach. Our neighbor. Newly single Zach, fit, good-looking, the kind of guy who thought every woman was a flirt waiting for an excuse. He walked out of the bar first, glanced around, then went back in. Like he was checking if anyone was watching. 10 minutes later, Emily came out. They got in his car and drove off together. I sat there in shock, hands shaking on the steering wheel, a rage I didn't know I was capable of building in my chest. But the worst part wasn't even what I saw. The worst part was that tiny voice in my head whispering, what if it wasn't Zach? What if it was Josh too? Because Josh had been acting weird lately. Distant. Nervous around Emily. And every time I brought up our weekend plans or invited him over, he had some excuse. So I did what no husband ever wants to do. I checked her phone. I waited until she was in the shower. I knew the passcode, she never changed it. I didn't have long. I went straight to the deleted messages folder. And that's where I saw them. Texts that made my stomach turn. Can't stop thinking about last night. Your hands were all over me. I still feel it. No names, just numbers. But one of them, I recognized. Josh's. I couldn't breathe. I was holding her phone like it was on fire. My best friend. My brother. The man who stood next to me at my wedding, was texting my wife like she was his dirty little secret. That's when the shock turned into full-blown fury. But I still didn't confront her. Not yet. I wanted to see how far she'd go. I wanted to know everything. I'll never forget the moment I decided to confront her. It wasn't even about revenge at that point, it was survival. My mind was breaking apart under the weight of everything I was holding in. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time she smiled at me, touched my arm, acted like the perfect wife. It felt like acid on my skin. So I waited until Sunday. The one day we were always home together, no excuses, no distractions. She was sitting at the kitchen table, sipping her coffee, scrolling on her phone like nothing in the world was wrong. And I was just standing there across from her, watching her. Emily, I said, calm, too calm. We need to talk. She glanced up, eyes wide for just a second. Then, that smile. That fake sweet smile. Sure, babe. What's on your mind? That was the moment. I pulled her phone out of my pocket, the same phone she left charging in the kitchen the night before. I had taken screenshots, saved the text to a hidden folder, and sent the numbers to myself. I placed the phone on the table. Who's this? I asked, pointing to the message. The one who still feels your hands from last night? Her smile faltered. Just a flicker. Then, in a tone so casual it made my blood run cold, she said, That's nothing. It's just a joke between friends. A joke? I said, voice rising. A joke? Emily, I followed you the other night. I saw you with Zach. I read the messages from Josh. My best friend, Emily. And then, the craziest thing happened. She laughed. I'm not kidding. She actually laughed. Not a big laugh, just a short, condescending chuckle like I was some clueless idiot making a scene. You're being dramatic, Chris, she said. It's not what you think. Then what is it, Emily? I snapped. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been screwing around behind my back with at least 2 different men. She stood up, arms crossed, her expression hardening into something cold. Something I didn't recognize. You know what? She said. Maybe if you weren't always working, always out trying to be some real estate hotshot, maybe I wouldn't have felt so alone. That hit me like a slap. The blame in her voice. Like I was the one who pushed her into someone else's bed. Like paying for her lifestyle, the house, the car, the designer clothes, somehow wasn't enough. So you cheated because I was working to support you? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She shrugged. I needed connection, Chris. And you weren't giving it. At that point, I couldn't even respond. I just stared at her, realizing I didn't know this woman anymore. I didn't recognize the bitterness in her voice, the emptiness in her eyes. The Emily I loved, or thought I loved, was gone. And then she hit me with one more curveball. Fine. You want to know the truth? She said. Yes. I slept with Zach. A few times. And Josh? That was complicated. But don't act like you're some perfect husband. You're not exactly exciting anymore. She said it like she was talking about bad takeout. And just like that, it was done. No tears. No apology. Just that cold, dismissive tone, like I was the problem, like she was the victim in all of this. I walked out of the house that day without saying another word. But I wasn't done yet. There's a moment after betrayal that no one talks about. Not the confrontation. Not the screaming. Not the realization. No, I'm talking about after, when the adrenaline wears off and you're just there. Alone. Sitting in your car at 1 a.m. in some random grocery store parking lot because you don't want to go back home. Not yet. Not to her. Not to that bed. Not to those memories. That was me that night. I stared at the steering wheel until my vision blurred, fists clenched, heart pounding like I'd just run a marathon I never signed up for. I felt nothing and everything at once. Rage. Grief. Confusion. Emptiness. Mostly, I just felt used. Like the last few years of my life had been some long, expensive illusion. And here's the twisted part, Chris. A small part of me still wanted to believe she had loved me once. That it wasn't all fake. That maybe this started as a mistake, and it just snowballed. But then I'd hear her voice in my head again, cold and condescending. You're not exciting anymore. I remember calling Josh that night. Yeah. Josh. I wanted to hear his voice. To give him a chance. To see if maybe there was some explanation, some way this wasn't what it seemed. He didn't answer. I texted, "We need to talk." Now. Nothing. The next morning, I got a message from him, not a call. Just a text. "Chris, man. I'm sorry. It wasn't supposed to happen like that." That was it. No details. No apology. No remorse. The guy who used to crash on my couch when he fought with his girl. The guy I gave money to when he lost his job. The guy who toasted us at our wedding and said, "You two are soulmates, man." He was sleeping with my wife behind my back. You know what betrayal feels like. It's not a knife. It's not fire. It's not even heartbreak. It's void. It's an emotional blackout. You start questioning everything. Was any of it real? Did she ever love me? How long were they laughing behind my back? I stopped going to work for a few days. Just laid in bed, blinds closed, door locked, ignoring every call. I didn't want comfort. I didn't want to talk. I wanted to disappear. But the world doesn't stop. Bills don't stop. Pain doesn't stop. I started noticing how even little things hurt. The coffee mug she bought me that said, "Best husband ever." The framed photo in the hallway from our honeymoon in Tulum. Her in that yellow dress I used to love. It all turned into poison. I found myself talking to shadows. Replaying our arguments. Whispering things I should have said. Punching pillows. Laughing at myself like I was watching some sad indie movie. People don't get it, Chris. Infidelity isn't just about sex. It's about invasion. It's about someone reaching into your chest and yanking out the life you built with your bare hands, then tossing it like trash. And the worst part? She still acted like she was the one being attacked. Like I was overreacting. She didn't cry. Didn't beg. Didn't say she was sorry. She just moved on. Like nothing happened. I realized then, I had spent years loving someone who didn't exist anymore. Maybe she never did. I always thought I'd know exactly what I'd do if I ever got cheated on. You know? I'd storm out, slam the door, block her number, burn her stuff, post some cold-ass quote on Facebook like, "Loyalty isn't hard. Unless you're a liar." But when it actually happened, I froze. For days I was just drifting. Going through the motions. Wake up. Shower. Stare at my phone. Reread Josh's one-line apology. Check Emily's Instagram like an idiot, wondering if she was out with him or Zach. Wondering if she was even thinking about me. Wondering if any of this hurt her even a fraction as much as it hurt me. Spoiler, it didn't. I stayed in a hotel for a bit. Told work I had a family emergency. They didn't ask questions. They knew something was wrong just from how dead my voice sounded. My coworkers used to say I had that energy. The guy who lit up a room, closed deals with a handshake, the guy people wanted to follow. But now I couldn't even look myself in the mirror without seeing a man who'd been made a fool of by the woman he loved and the man he trusted most. But you know what was worse than the pain? The temptation to go back. Yeah. I said it. There were moments I actually considered it. Going home. Sitting down with her. Trying to work through it. Because that's what we're taught, right? Marriage is hard. You have to fight for love. Forgive and move on. But how do you fight for someone who doesn't even regret stabbing you in the back? Emily never once called. Never texted. Never asked where I was or if I was okay. Not even a fake apology. And then, get this, she posted a selfie. In our bedroom. Wearing the hoodie I left behind. Captioned, "Healing vibes. Growth is painful but beautiful." I swear I almost threw my phone against the wall. That was the moment. That was the line in the sand. She wasn't sad. She wasn't ashamed. She was rebranding my heartbreak into some spiritual Instagram journey. So I made my decision. I wasn't staying. I wasn't fixing her mess. I wasn't going to fight for a woman who already gave herself to other men. I called a lawyer the next morning. Told him everything. The cheating. The messages. The timeline. Even the neighbors were willing to vouch that Zach had been over at the house while I was at work. We had a prenup, thank God. She wasn't getting the house. She wasn't touching my savings. I would be fair, but I wasn't going to be played again. And Josh? I blocked him. Deleted every photo we ever took. Removed him from every group chat. Told the boys what happened. Most of them already suspected something. Apparently, I was the only one who didn't see it. Funny how you can be so close to someone and still miss all the signs. The truth is, Chris, the moment you stop questioning whether they love you, that's the moment you already know the answer. Walking back into that house felt like walking into a war zone after the bombs stopped falling. Quiet, but not peaceful. Just haunted. The front door creaked like it was trying to warn me. Same smell of her perfume in the air, that damn vanilla and jasmine mix she always wore. For a second, I caught myself thinking she might be there waiting for me. But of course, she wasn't. She hadn't been there in months, even when she physically was. I didn't say anything. I just stood in the doorway and listened. It was the silence that broke me. No footsteps. No sound of her voice in the kitchen. No stupid show playing in the background. Just the hum of the fridge and the weight of everything I'd built, now crumbling under my feet. I walked through each room like I was seeing it for the first time. The throw pillows she picked out. The little trinkets from vacations I thought were happy. Our framed wedding photo on the mantel. Us laughing in the sun, eyes locked like we were actually going to grow old together. I ripped it off the wall and didn't even realize my hand was bleeding from the broken glass until I sat down. I didn't cry. Not then, not there. I just stared at the blood on my palm and thought, even the house doesn't want me here anymore. Her closet was half empty. She had taken some clothes, some jewelry. But she left behind the crap she didn't care about. And that made it worse, the fact that she walked away so easily. No letter. No goodbye. Just that smug Instagram post and a mess of memories she didn't think I'd have to clean up. I slept on the couch that night. Couldn't bear to lie in our bed. My bed. I imagined her and Zach there. Her and Josh. The same sheets I once thought were sacred now felt like poison. I kept waking up every hour, heart pounding, expecting her to walk in, to say it was all a mistake, that it didn't mean anything, that she wanted to fix it. But no one came. And then the dreams started. Dreams of her smiling. But not at me, at them. Dreams where I walked into a room and caught her mid-laugh, touching someone else's arm, whispering the same things she used to whisper to me. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, heart racing, just to find out I was still alone. And you know what hurt more than the cheating? The rewriting of our story. She posted cryptic quotes online. Things like, "Sometimes you outgrow people you thought you'd love forever. Everything happens for a reason. I deserve to be happy." Like she was the hero of this story. Like I was some villain in her personal growth narrative. Friends of hers unfollowed me. Some of them blocked me. One even messaged me saying, "I'm sorry it didn't work out, but you were too controlling." I almost laughed. I had paid for everything, given her the life she wanted, and the only thing I controlled was how hard I worked to keep her comfortable. This house became a cage. And every room was another echo of a lie. The kitchen? That's where we used to slow dance on random Tuesdays while pasta boiled. Now I couldn't step inside without seeing her on the phone with God knows who while I chopped vegetables. The bathroom? That's where she started locking the door. I used to think it was her me time. Now I know better. The hallway mirror? She used to fix her hair in it before going out. I remember watching her once, thinking how lucky I was. Now I avoid looking into it, because all I see is a man who was played. It's crazy, Chris. People say heartbreak is loud. But it's not. It's quiet. It's a slow drip in the background. It's her toothbrush still in the holder. Her mug still in the sink. Her hair ties still wrapped around the doorknob. That's what breaks you. Not the screaming. Not the betrayal. It's the echoes. You'd think the worst part was over once the truth's out, right? She cheated. She lied. My best friend stabbed me in the back. The marriage was dead. What more could there possibly be? But here's the thing about betrayal, Chris, it's greedy. It doesn't just stab once. It waits until you start to stand back up, then it drives the second knife in, even deeper. It happened about a week after I filed for divorce. I was finally starting to pull myself together. Going back to work. Forcing myself to eat again. My lawyer was handling the legal stuff, and I was clearing the house of her things, boxing up everything from her makeup drawer, the framed love notes, the photo albums I couldn't look at anymore. I was getting ready to take my life back. And then, my phone rang. It was Kelly. Josh's ex. We hadn't talked in months, maybe longer. I always liked her, but when they broke up, things got messy, and we just drifted. She sounded nervous. "Chris," she said, "I've been debating for days whether to call you. But I think you deserve to know." I felt that sick twist in my gut again, the one that tells you, this is going to hurt. She started slow, careful, like someone walking across thin ice. She told me she had seen some weird things back when she and Josh were still together. Texts, late-night disappearances, times when Josh would disappear for hours and come back acting cagey. She thought he might be cheating on her. And then she said it. "I think Emily and Josh started messing around before your wedding." I went cold. "What?" I said, barely breathing. "Yeah," she continued. "It wasn't just recent. I remember Josh texting her late at night, laughing about your clinginess, like you were always so wrapped up in her, and they thought it was hilarious. I didn't have proof then. But one night I saw them parked outside her apartment, before you guys moved in together. I didn't say anything. I thought maybe I was being crazy." I sat there silent. Numb. This wasn't just betrayal. It was history. This wasn't just an affair. This was something that had been festering behind my back for years. They were playing the long game. Smiling at me. Toasting to our marriage. Planning to stand beside me at the altar, while already having shared secrets behind my back. The affair with Zach? That was recent. Impulsive. Trashy. But Josh? That was personal. This was someone I grew up with. Someone who watched my back since middle school. We got in fights together, snuck beers behind his dad's shed, helped each other move out of crappy apartments. And all that time, he was looking me in the eyes and lying. Suddenly, every memory became rotten. That time Emily smiled at Josh during game night, I thought nothing of it. The time Josh said, "You don't deserve a girl like her, man," I thought it was a compliment. The time he hugged her goodbye and held on just a bit too long, I ignored it. And worst of all, that night before our wedding, when I got blackout drunk at my bachelor party and woke up with no memory. Josh was the only one who stayed behind with me. He took me home. What if that was the night it started? I sat in my kitchen, shaking, heart pounding, feeling that second knife twist inside me. They didn't just cheat. They built their affair on my trust. They let me walk down the aisle thinking I was marrying the love of my life while they were already laughing behind my back. Chris, that's the kind of betrayal that doesn't fade. That kind of betrayal rewrites your whole past. It steals not just your relationship, but your identity, your sense of judgment, your memories. And that's when the anger came back. Stronger. Sharper. And this time? I wasn't just broken. I was done being the one bleeding. Something changed in me after that call from Kelly. I don't even remember setting the phone down. I just remember staring at the wall, numb, and then suddenly feeling still. Like the storm had passed. Not because it was over, but because I finally understood it. They didn't break me. They freed me. That night I didn't cry. I didn't drink. I didn't rage or punch a wall. I sat down at my desk, the same one I used to work overtime at while Emily was out, shopping, or getting drinks with the girls. And I started writing everything down. Every date. Every weird moment. Every suspicious look between them. Everything I ignored, explained away, or gaslight myself into forgetting. It was like connecting dots on a murder board, and what died was who I used to be. See, that's the thing about betrayal. It makes you remember every detail. Your mind wants answers, and if it can't get closure, it starts to dig, and it does not stop. But this time, I didn't try to shut it off. I let it burn. And out of that fire, I made a plan. Step 1, clean the house. Not just literally, spiritually. I bagged up everything of hers and put it in the garage. Her dresses, shoes, makeup, even her stupid decorative pillows. The ones she made me arrange, just right, every morning like we were living in a damn showroom. Gone. I scrubbed the kitchen, the bathroom, even the walls. I threw out our wedding album. Shoved every romantic memory into a storage bin and taped it shut like I was sealing a crime scene. Step 2, lawyer up, hard. I called my attorney and gave him everything Kelly told me. And guess what? That info mattered. Because we had a prenup with infidelity clauses. My lawyer said, "Chris, this just got a hell of a lot easier for us." Good. Step 3, take back my narrative. Emily was already doing her thing online, posting, healing, quotes, and starting fresh selfies. Painting herself like a victim of a loveless marriage. So I posted once. Just once. A photo of me holding a box of her stuff, standing outside the front door, no smile, no caption, just a single line. Loyalty is priceless. Some people can't afford it. It blew up. People messaged me nonstop. Old friends, new followers. Some didn't even know the details, but they could feel the truth behind it. And Josh? Blocked. Deleted. Erased. I took every photo with him off my wall, out of my phone, even burned a few for the hell of it. My phone kept buzzing with mutual friends saying, "Dude, I had no idea. I'm so sorry." A few told me they saw signs and didn't want to get involved. Fair enough. I don't blame them anymore. That was my lesson to learn. But here's the real turning point, Chris. It wasn't the revenge. It wasn't the Instagram post, or the legal win, or the new locks on the front door. It was this: I stopped needing closure from them. Because I gave it to myself. They weren't going to apologize. They weren't going to admit they were wrong. They weren't going to cry or feel guilty or show up begging. And I didn't need them to. They had each other now. Let them rot in the mess they built. Me? I was starting over. On my terms. Rebuilding doesn't happen like in the movies, man. There's no big music montage, no deep sunrise moment where it all clicks. Real healing is quiet. Awkward. Slow. Sometimes it's just you sitting in the same chair every night with the TV on mute because your brain's too loud to follow a plot. But I was determined. Not to. Get over it. Not yet. That wasn't the goal. The goal was to survive one good day. Just one. Then maybe another. I started simple. I went back to the gym. The same one I hadn't stepped foot in since Emily said my routine made me predictable. I needed to feel strong again. In control of something. That first week I could barely lift anything, my muscles were as drained as my spirit. But there was something comforting about the rhythm of it. Push. Breathe. Rest. Repeat. Then I called my brother. We hadn't talked much in the middle of the fallout. He lives across the country, got 2 kids, a mortgage, his own chaos. But when I told him everything, he just said, "Pack a bag. Come stay for a few days." I did. 3 days turned into a week. I played board games with my niece, grilled burgers in his backyard, drank beers with my brother at night while the kids slept. It reminded me there's still life outside of betrayal. People who love you just for existing. People who don't want anything from you except your time. And that's when something strange happened. I met someone. Her name was Jenna. She was a friend of my sister-in-law, dropped by one night for dinner with her dog and a bottle of wine. I didn't think anything of it at first. I wasn't ready. I wasn't looking. But she had this energy, calm but sharp. She wasn't loud or flirty. She didn't ask questions like, "So what happened with your ex?" or give me pity eyes. She just talked to me like I was a person. Like I wasn't broken. We ended up sitting on the back porch that night after everyone went to bed. 2 strangers watching stars, passing a bottle back and forth, talking about everything but relationships. We laughed about stupid stuff. She told me her worst date ever involved a guy who tried to impress her by freestyle rapping about Bitcoin. I told her about the time Emily tried to cook lasagna and nearly burned down the kitchen. It was the first time I talked about Emily and didn't feel like I was choking on my own words. Nothing happened that night. No kiss. No number exchange. Just a long hug before she left. But it cracked something open in me. A reminder, there is still joy in the world. Still kindness. Still women who don't lie through perfect teeth while hiding messages from your best friend in their phone. Still laughter that isn't followed by pain. When I flew back home, the house didn't feel as heavy. I opened windows. I lit candles. I played music. I started reclaiming every room. Made the bed my way. Changed the curtains. Took a hammer to that ugly wine rack she loved but I always hated. I wasn't healed. Not yet. But for the first time, I didn't feel like I was drowning in someone else's lies. And when Jenna texted, "Yeah, my sister-in-law had passed along my number," I smiled. Not because I was ready for something new. But because maybe, just maybe, I was ready to start living again. It had been 2.5 weeks since I'd seen Jenna. We were texting here and there, nothing too serious, nothing heavy. Just a few messages that felt easy. No landmines, no overthinking. Like breathing after holding your breath for too long. That's what made what happened next hit me so hard. I was sitting at the kitchen table, the same spot where Emily used to scroll through her phone for hours without saying a word, and for once, I wasn't thinking about her. Until her name popped up on my screen. Emily. Not. Not. Wife. Not. Don't answer. Just. Emily, like it was a stranger texting me. And the message? "Can we talk? Please." No context. No apology. No explanation. I stared at it for a full 10 minutes. I felt that old panic rise, the stomach twist, the shallow breathing. That what if feeling I thought I'd finally buried. But I didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, I poured a glass of water and just walked the house. I paced like an animal in a cage. Because I knew this moment would come. I just didn't know when. Or what she'd want. Or how I would feel when it did. I finally sat down and typed one word. Why? She responded immediately. I made a mistake. Oh no. No. She didn't get to wrap nuclear-level betrayal into 4 words and expect me to just nod along. Which one? I typed. Sleeping with my best friend? Lying about it? Gaslighting me? Or letting me feel like I was the problem for months? There was a pause this time. And then, all of it. I'm sorry. Can we meet? Just talk. And I'll be real with you, Chris. A part of me wanted to say yes. Not because I wanted her back. But because I wanted to look her in the eyes and see if she meant it. I wanted to hear her admit what she did. Not in vague, Hallmark card nonsense. In real words. Ugly, honest ones. So I said okay. 1 coffee. Public place. Neutral ground. She picked the spot, a cozy little cafe we used to love. It felt weird walking in there again, like stepping into a memory that didn't belong to me anymore. And there she was. Sitting at a table by the window, sipping tea like nothing happened. Same flawless hair. Same perfect posture. But the eyes? They were different. Nervous. Worn. She looked small. Like she'd finally realized the consequences of what she destroyed. Hey, she said, like we were exes catching up after a normal breakup. I didn't say anything. She started talking. Fast. Rushed. Apologetic. But still polished, like she'd rehearsed the whole thing in the mirror. She blamed stress. Said she felt lonely. Said I was emotionally distant. That she knew it wasn't an excuse, but that she was so lost back then. I stopped her. You weren't lost, Emily. You were comfortable. And selfish. And I let you be, because I trusted you. She didn't argue. Just sat there, biting her lip, tears forming. Then she said it. I miss you. I stared at her for a long time. And I said, you miss what I gave you. The safety. The money. The loyalty. But you didn't want me. You threw me away. She cried harder. She asked if I could ever forgive her. Not even for us to get back together, just for my own peace. I told her maybe. Maybe. But not today. And definitely not for her. Because forgiveness isn't something you owe the person who betrayed you. It's something you give yourself, when you're ready. I stood up and left her sitting there, crying into her overpriced tea. And you know what? I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel angry. I felt free. Because finally I realized closure isn't something you get from someone else. It's something you decide to take. After that meeting with Emily, I thought I could finally close the door for good. I was wrong. A week later, I got a text from an unknown number. I ignored it at first, didn't want to feed the drama. But then, it kept coming. Messages with screenshots. Photos. Conversations. Photos of Emily, with Josh. Not just casual meetups or secret texts, but photos of them at my old place. Laughing, holding hands, whispering secrets where I used to sleep. I felt sick. I called Josh. No answer. I texted. No reply. So I did what any guy would do. I showed up at his place. Josh opened the door, tired and bleary-eyed. I didn't even bother asking questions. Why? I said. Why the hell did you keep doing this? He looked at me like I was insane. Like I was the crazy one for showing up. You don't get it, Chris, he said, voice low. Emily wanted me. She came to me. I wasn't the first. I'm just the last. The last. That hit me harder than the first betrayal. Not only was I a fool for trusting both of them, I was the last to know. The final piece of the puzzle that made every sleepless night, Every broken promise, every lie makes sense. Josh admitted they'd been seeing each other behind my back the entire time we were married, sometimes weeks apart, sometimes together. Emily was juggling, playing them both. And me. That's when I realized I hadn't been the only victim. Josh was too. And maybe that was the cruelest twist of all. Because two men who thought they had a brother had been used, while one woman built a life on lies. After Josh's confession, I was broken, but also strangely clear-headed. The fog of betrayal was lifting, leaving behind a raw, aching truth. I realized healing wouldn't come from revenge or anger. It had to come from me. So I started small. I cleaned up the house again, this time more intentionally. I threw away anything that reminded me of them, the gifts, the photos, even the small souvenirs from trips I thought were ours. I deleted their numbers from my phone. Blocked them on every app. But most importantly, I started focusing on myself. Therapy was the hardest step. Sitting in that chair, facing my pain, admitting I'd been played, that was humbling. But it was also freeing. I learned that betrayal isn't a reflection of my worth, but of their flaws. I reconnected with old friends. I leaned on family. I picked up old hobbies I'd neglected, hiking, reading, even painting. It helped me find peace in moments of silence. Work became my anchor too. Not to drown the pain, but to remind myself I'm still me, capable, strong, worthy. It wasn't a straight path. Some days the hurt slammed back like a freight train. Nights when I questioned if I'd ever trust again. But with every dawn, I grew stronger. And one day, I realized I wasn't just surviving. I was living again. Picking up the pieces was only the beginning. After the storm, I realized life doesn't just go back to normal. It changes. You change. And the world around you shifts, whether you want it to or not. It was a slow process. Some days full of hope, others weighted with doubt. But somewhere along the way, I started to see glimpses of something new, possibility. Jenna, the woman I met through family, kept showing up in my life. Not like some fairy tale savior or quick fix, but like a steady presence. Someone who listened without judgment. Someone who didn't try to fix me but just was there. We started spending more time together. Going for hikes in the early morning, grabbing coffee on lazy Sunday afternoons, even going to those stupid karaoke bars where we butchered classic rock songs just for laughs. I'll be honest, it wasn't always easy. My walls were still high. Every time I thought about Emily or Josh, a shadow crept over me, whispering, "What if this happens again? What if I let my guard down and get hurt?" But Jenna never rushed me. She understood that trust isn't given. It's earned. Slowly. Piece by piece. At work, things started to look up too. After months of barely getting through the day, I landed a big client, the kind of deal that reminded me why I worked so damn hard. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about reclaiming my pride, my identity outside of the pain. I also started volunteering with a local charity that helped men dealing with trauma and relationship issues. Sharing my story with strangers was scary, but it helped me heal. Hearing other men open up about their struggles made me realize I wasn't alone. Betrayal doesn't discriminate. It cuts across every background, every walk of life. The hardest part? Forgiving myself. For the times I ignored the signs. For the moments I doubted my gut. For holding on to a marriage that was already broken. But forgiveness wasn't about her. It was about freeing me from the chains of bitterness and regret. One night, Jenna and I sat on the roof of my apartment building, watching the city lights flicker beneath us. She took my hand and said, "You're not who you were before. And that's a good thing." I looked at her, really looked, and realized she was right. I wasn't the broken man hiding behind lies anymore. I was someone who'd survived hell and was choosing to live anyway. No, the scars don't disappear. No, the memories don't just fade. But new memories? New moments? They're waiting to be made. And this time, I was ready. You know, when I started sharing this story, I thought I'd end it with some neat, tidy lesson, like a movie where the hero triumphs and walks into the sunset, all healed and whole. But real life? It's messy. It's complicated. And sometimes healing is less about getting over it, and more about living with it. Looking back, I realize now that betrayal didn't just shatter my marriage, it shattered my perception of love, trust, and even myself. It forced me to stare at my own vulnerabilities, my blind spots, and the parts of me I didn't want to admit needed work. I spent so much time trying to understand them, Emily, Josh, even myself, that I forgot one important thing. Some people's betrayals say more about who they are than about who you are. I had to learn to separate my worth from their actions. The hardest part was forgiving myself for holding on too long, for hoping she'd change, for letting my guard down. But forgiving yourself is the first real step to freedom. When I finally started to let go, not of the pain, but of the bitterness, that's when life began to open up again. It's been almost a year since everything came crashing down. In that time, I've rebuilt my life on firmer ground. I've set boundaries I never knew I needed. I've learned to trust again, not blindly, but cautiously, wisely. I still have my moments. Nights when a song on the radio triggers a memory. Days when I question if I'll ever find the one who won't stab me in the back. But those moments don't define me anymore. I'm defined by the fact that I showed up every day. Even when it hurt. Even when it was easier to disappear. And here's what I want anyone watching this to know. If you're going through betrayal, if you're feeling lost, broken, or alone, you are not. You're stronger than you think. You're worth more than their lies. And your story isn't over. Healing isn't linear. It's a battle. But it's one worth fighting. Don't rush it. Don't let anyone tell you to. Just move on. Take your time. Feel everything. Cry when you need to. Rage when you have to. And then, when you're ready, rebuild. Life is messy, but it's also beautiful. And if my story can help even one person take the first step toward freedom, then sharing all of this was worth it. Because sometimes, the darkest betrayals lead to the brightest new beginnings. Alright, Chris, here's where I want to get really real with you and everyone watching. After all the chaos, the heartbreak, the lies, and the pain, what's left? What do you hold on to when the dust settles? First off, I want you to know, betrayal does not define you. It feels like it will. It feels like it's the core of who you are now. But it's not. It's a chapter, a painful, ugly, confusing chapter, but still just a chapter in your story. One thing I learned the hard way is that trust is fragile, but it can be rebuilt, with yourself first. Before you ever let someone else in again, you have to learn to trust your own judgment, your own heart. Because if you don't, you'll be left vulnerable all over again. Don't rush healing. I know it's tempting to want to erase the pain, to act like nothing happened, or to jump into something new just to fill the void. But healing is messy. It takes time. There will be good days and terrible ones. You have to give yourself permission to feel everything: anger, sadness, confusion, because those feelings are what help you process and eventually move forward. Also, don't isolate yourself. I made the mistake of pulling away from friends and family for a while, thinking I had to handle it alone. But opening up, even if it's just to one trusted person, is so important. Sometimes, just hearing, "I'm here for you," or "You're not crazy," can be the lifeline you need. And if you're stuck in the middle of it now, the suspicion, the doubt, the gut-wrenching uncertainty, trust your instincts. Don't ignore the signs. Don't gaslight yourself into silence. It's okay to ask hard questions. It's okay to demand honesty. One thing I can't stress enough is this: your self-worth is not tied to their actions. No matter what they did, you deserve respect, loyalty, and love that's real. Don't settle for less. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Finally, remember this: forgiveness isn't about excusing what happened or forgetting the pain. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of bitterness. It's about reclaiming your peace, your power, and your future. So to anyone going through betrayal right now, I see you. I hear you. And I want you to know that while the road is hard, you can come out the other side stronger. This journey changed me, shattered parts of me, but also rebuilt me into someone who understands what real love and respect look like. If I could tell my past self one thing, it would be, you are more than their lies. You are worthy of a love that never breaks you. Thanks for listening to my story. If you're going through something similar, share your story below. We're stronger together. And remember to subscribe if you want to hear more real stories and advice. Stay strong. Stay true. And above all, stay you.